Welcome back, you're watching Lewis the Van. My name is Seth. This is our 2004 118 wheelbase Sprinter van. We had a couple questions asking what type of Sprinter this was, and it is a 118 wheelbase, which was only manufactured for 4 years. So it's pretty cool that we got it. It's the smallest Sprinter that was ever available on the market. It's about 16 feet in length and 118 inches between the wheels, which means that it has a better turn radius than Scarlett's Prius or my old Jeep. We can spin it around in 2 lanes of traffic, and we can fit it even with our back deck in a regular parking spot. So it's nice and stealthy if we need to be. Along the back, we actually have a few things going on here, but one that we've been asked a few times about on different platforms now is this back deck area, which actually serves a plethora of purposes. So it's a back deck. You can pop the door open and shut the door and stand out here. We can pop the door open while we pull the bed out, which makes it a little easier and stuff like that. We can also prop both doors right here using a little pin. Since we had to delete the factory door holds, that was something we wanted to add on later on. And it's also a toolbox. It's built off of just a regular steel hitch carrier, which is rated for 1,000 pounds. We bought that used on Facebook Marketplace. I think it was 20 bucks. And then we used some scrap wood that we had left over from the build to build this. So it's about a 7-inch deep box. We house all our tools that we used to do the entire van in here. We have litter and stuff like that in here for our cat. And we have an extra water hose, etc., and some spare parts just in case anything goes bad. Additionally, underneath, we have our recovery tracks, which we used earlier this week. And we have over on that side a 2-gallon diesel tank. All right, so in addition to the back box, one of the things we really wanted to bring along with us was our bikes. We just wanted that as a mode of transportation or an option in any new place we were at. But this is a very simple system. It's basically an L bracket that clamps right onto our ladder, which is underneath here. And then there's 2 little hooks basically that you hook your bike in. And then we have a couple locks just for security. One of the things we did for the ladder, specifically so that it could hold the weight of the bikes as we're riding on the highway, is that behind the metal, we took a piece of wood and screwed the ladder through the metal into the wood, which helps a lot with any flex on the door and just keeps everything a lot more secure. Over here, where we store our second tire for our bikes, behind that is our spare tire. We did have to do a little bit of adjustment just while we mounted it up, but we only had to drill 1 hole, which was right here in the actual door itself. Other than that, it mounted up to these just stock hinges right here. So speaking about tires, we have 5 KO2 all-terrain tires by BF Goodrich. But these things have been awesome. They have pretty aggressive treads, but not too aggressive while you're on the highway. So we maintain a lot of our fuel economy. They're also a little bit bigger than the stock tires, which gives us just a slightly higher ground clearance, which is awesome. And because of the aggressive tread, it's far less likely that we'll get a flat. One of the things that we decided to do just to kind of make our van a little more unique was to paint it beige. Actually, we didn't decide to paint it at first. We were going to wrap the van with vinyl wrap, which, if you're not familiar with it, is basically just a big sticker you put over. So we had done a ton of prep work. We debadged everything. We did a lot of Bondo and rust repair and stuff like that. So the van was looking very, very rough, although it was smooth enough for the wrap. And then we quickly discovered after doing half of one panel that wrapping was way too time consuming and way too difficult with all the little window cutout inserts that we had on this particular Sprinter van. So within about 48 hours, we decided to purchase the paint and paint it. It was gonna get very, very cold where we were at a few days after we decided to paint, so we went ahead and got it done. We did all the prep work, all the tape up, and painted in 1 day. I would not recommend that. The finish that came out was okay. It's a little rough in some areas, but we went with a single stage matte beige paint. And then on the bottom, we have some Pour 15 bed liner, and we just kind of taped off the wheel wells. We liked the look of fender flares kind of on the van, so we made our own basically, since this model, again, does not have fender flares. And then we taped along the bottom just on this body line right here so that we wouldn't get any rock chips and stuff like that. As you can see, we've done a little bit of mudding down in Louisiana already, and it's held up great. We haven't had any chips or any issues so far. So another thing I'll talk about while we're up front here is these window vent inserts. We have 2 of them, 1 for each side. They're very, very simple. They clip right into the window right there and you roll it all the way up to the top. And they just help our air vent on the roof work a little bit better, as well as keep some ventilation moving through the van at all times. This one in particular, we glued a little clamp onto, and this mounts to our hot air vent from our AC unit. So this is the driver's side one, and we just vent straight out the driver's side window. We were searching around for roof rack solutions and we couldn't find anything for under basically $1,500 for this type of van that was anything decent. So we decided to go ahead and do it ourselves. Again, wouldn't recommend this. This was probably the most difficult part of the build. It took us a couple weeks to figure out how to build the rack, and it's built out of 1-inch steel tubing. Essentially, we built the whole thing from Home Depot. So it's all built off of 6-foot pieces, and we built it specifically so that it would fit 2 solar panels. So again, one of the things that I guess was positive out of all this is that we could totally custom build it to this. It's mounted on Smitty built gutter clamps. We screwed on some L brackets on each corner and then put down some just awful welds on this rack. It doesn't look very pretty, but it's not too bad for what we spent on it. So our roof vent is right here. We had to kind of create a little insert in our roof rack situation for it. But that was one of the first cuts we made in the van. It was 14 inches by 14 inches. Luckily, this van kind of had a little section where you could do it fairly easily. It was still pretty stressful. Measure twice, cut once. We have just some cross beams that go across right here and right there. Those hold our rocket box, which we got used. So the ratchet straps kind of just go over and they hook into the outside of these same little beams right here. We can hold our surfboard on top here. We can hold our inflatable kayak and all kinds of camping and hiking and backpacking gear up in this top box. And it's been a really helpful use of space just since the living area is already so small, so we don't have to have all that in there. So we have 360 watts of solar, which has been enough that we can go completely off-grid energy-wise. We carry enough water that we can do about 2 weeks if we're careful with it. So essentially we can leave civilization for up to 2 weeks at a time, but the solar has kept us completely powered the entire time we've been on the road. So we don't have shore power, we don't have a plug-in, we are solar based, and this has been a great off-grid solution. I can't recommend Renogy enough. We basically went entirely Renogy with our solar system, and it has been fantastic. Yeah, that's kind of the roof rack situation. On this side, we have a little L bracket made out of aluminum, and that holds our ARB awning. This is a 4.5 foot by 6.5 foot edition. So it covers our side door and then extends out 6.5 feet, which is sealed across the top, so no rain will drip down in between the awning and the roof itself. The whole top of the van is actually bed lined, so the same Pour 15 bed liner we use down there, and that's for grip, especially moving the surfboard around to get in the box and stuff like that. We'll get up here every couple times we get gas and squeegee down the solar panels, and it's been working really well.